Okay, hi guys, and welcome to the show. And today I am reviewing the Flygraph pilot's watch from Yema. Now I have to say a massive thank you to Vanessa at Yema for making this video possible and lending this watch in. And I believe we're getting to review it before anybody else has. So quite an honor. And this has come about really because, well, Yema, if you watched my last review of the Superman, which is my wristwatch check, it's a watch and brand that I was a bit late to the party, so to speak, but I have really come to appreciate because of, well, their highly underrated, incredible achievements to their name. And we're going to get into that certainly. But above all, the Superman, well, I'm absolutely smitten, for lack of better expression. And definitely one of my favorite new brands for 2020 especially. So, as always, a little bit of backstory to contextualize. Yema have quite simply an extraordinary history. Founded in 1948 by Henry Louis Belmont in Besançon, which happens to be the birthplace of Victor Hugo, no less. Mr. Belmont was a pioneer French watchmaker who had graduated from the watchmaking school in the city of the brand's founding, which is located in eastern France. This is close to the Jura Mountains, which border Switzerland, of course. What makes this brand so special is the massive amount of accomplishments it has achieved in a relatively short amount of time. Yema's rise to prominence really came down to the success of the Superman collection of watches. This aptly named watch would propel the brand into producing several more highly underrated iconic watches. The Superman was first released in 1963 and was initially developed for diving professionals, but soon expanded into many versions, culminating in eventually being supplied to the French Air Force pilots. This 300-meter water diver was highly respected for its robustness and a unique locking mechanism incorporated into the screw-down crown that securely locked the dive time bezel. This would prevent it from accidentally being knocked and mucking up any critical timing. This combination of durability, function, and most importantly being French-made ensured it was the natural choice when the French military wanted to supply their top elite pilots with a watch. Following the success of the Superman, Yema then introduced the Yachting-Graph in 1966 and then the Rally-Graph in 1968. Both of these were chronographs, and the Yachting-Graph was automatic and had an impressive, well, for the time, 200 meters water resistance, designed specifically for sailing enthusiasts. While the Rally-Graph was equipped with a tachometer and was intended for racing car drivers. The watchmaker struck gold again when the Rally-Graph was worn by Mario Andretti, one of the most successful and legendary drivers in the history of motor racing. This Italian-born American is one of only 2 drivers in the world that have won races in Formula One, IndyCar, the World Sports Car Championship, and NASCAR. By the late 1960s and early 70s, Yema had become the leading exporter of French watches, with more than 500,000 watches sold every year across 50 countries. But not content with the conquest of the racetrack, skies and oceans, Yema embarked on its most remarkable adventure yet by being the first French watch brand in space with the Spacenaut chronograph. It originally debuted in 1982, and it accompanied the French astronaut Jean-Luc Chrétien for a 10-day space mission that took place in the same year, and then again in 1988 on a mission to the Mir space station. Yema survived the quartz crisis of the 1970s with an interesting and ironic twist of fate. The Seiko Corporation of Japan bought the company in 1988. It was then sold back into independent French hands in 2004. And after 4 years of research and development, 3 million euros of investments, Yema designed a new proprietary watch movement all of their own. The MBP 1000 was introduced in 2011 as the first and completely in-house automatic caliber from the brand. As for the name Yema, there are several stories and theories of how it came about. However, if you look at the etymology of the word, its origins can be traced from Spanish, meaning the gold yolk or jewel of the egg, which in turn originated from the Latin gemma with a G, meaning the life-giving core or gem. So here we are in 2020. So let's start with the dimensions first. We have a crowd-pleasing 39mm in diameter, a height of just shy of 13. I would say that's about 12.7mm tall. Lug to lug, we're looking at 48mm exactly, and a 19mm lug width. So an absolutely cracking proportions there. The weight is just shy of 100 grams. We're talking about 97, 98 there. As for materials, it's entirely stainless steel with a flat sapphire glass and of course full BGW9 superluminova on nearly everything you see on that dial. It's super thick and very deliberate for enhanced legibility. And whimsically, they've also put the Flygraph logo, this little winged jet is treated with lume. Now, thematically fitting is, of course, the canvas strap. It's quite abrasive and has a black stitching, which is, very understated. But on the inside, we have a extremely soft and supple leather. This, of course, is lined for extra comfort, as it is the part that has contact with the wrist. The strap does not taper, but it does come with a signed, engraved buckle there in a high polish, matching the watch nicely. Just a simple pin, traditional style buckle. At the 3 o'clock, we have your conventional crown, this time with actual crown guards. It is a screw down crown, I think adequately sized, great ergonomics there, and it gives the watch an impressive 300-meter water resistance. Very rare in a pilot's watch, but we'll get on to why this is so high in just a moment. We do have drilled lug holes. This is, at the end of the day, despite its rather handsome look, it is still a tool watch, so you can change out the straps quite easily. On the back, we have the heraldic Yema engraved logo, contrasted by bead blasted finish. This is the only bead blasted finish on here. I think it does accentuate the raised, polished section, and of course it's brushed directionally, as is the top, and then very wide, beautifully beveled edges on the sides there, just giving it a little bit of flash. Not too much, but just the right amount, I think, in my opinion. Underneath that screw-in case back is, of course, the new Caliber MBP1000. Just a simple three-hander, although it is hackable and features hand winding. And I got to say, when you do wind it by hand, it feels very refined and sturdy. There's even some pelage work and Geneva stripe decorations on it. The accuracy is about plus or minus 12 seconds a day, although it is observed to plus or minus 6 seconds. Adjustments and checks are made before and after assembly by their skilled watchmakers. It's a 31 jewel movement, operates at 28,800 vibrations an hour, so you got that lovely smooth sweep, and has a healthy 45-hour power reserve. Performance has been thoroughly analysed, tested and reviewed by the French Watch Technical Laboratory, so exceptional performance and accuracy in pretty much every regard. So this is where it really gets interesting. The watch is designed jointly with the professional acrobatic pilot and Yema ambassador Sammy Mason. Now, you just have a look at his Instagram and you'll see what kind of crazy stuff he gets up to in a plane. It does take inspiration from both Flieger, and if I bring in a field watch, military field watches as well, particularly of the Second World War. Now, this is my little Benrus from Vietnam, but essentially field watches haven't changed all that much, and you can see the extra 24-hour markings inside the inner sunken section of the main dial. Very similar to field watches. It also has that clear, high contrast Arabics that are just quintessentially military all the way. With military and pilot watches, it's always about the clarity and readability of the dial. Having said that, it is rather an elegant affair with quite stunning contrast and very sharply finished edges. Exquisitely done, really is. The top is a little aquanautish. The bezel, the flat bezel there that is flush with the sapphire. Although, unlike the Patek Aquanaut, you don't have to pay that a vulgar price tag, of course. This is a lot more tastefully priced. But then you have elements like a dive watch, with the crown guards, of course, giving it a bit more of a sporty feel. Although the hands are very, very classically pilot. The hour hand has a syringe tip and reaches nicely that inner 24-hour dial. And then you have clear Arabics with a wide minute hand, easy to differentiate. And then, of course, a lance-style tapering seconds hand with a little dash of red on the tip as it passes that very Flieger-ish minute track, and a tiny triangle at the 12. Again, little traits of pilot watches just seeping into it. The Arabic numerals are very puffy and tall, and then you have dot markings towards the center. It's very clear and precise and works extremely effectively. Now, the dial itself is quite interesting because as I move it, you'll see it's not really a matte black. It has a brushed, almost like slate tile effect. This is more charcoal than just jet black, forgive the pun. I think this is actually beneficial not just to look aesthetically pleasing and rather resplendent, but also it contrasts from the white of the numerals extremely well. The proportions and everything involved in the dial is very well considered. It's a clear, easy layout and has a wonderful uninterrupted symmetry because, of course, there is no date. Generally, the look of it comes together as quite classical, really, and this is a good thing because it's going to assist its longevity. It's not going to date. It's a very traditional design, but at the same time, it's a wonderful amalgamation. It's also very modern, and I feel the style of the numerals, if you look at the 6 and the 9, these kind of little curves, has a slightly futuristic vibe to it, but not overly so. So let's discuss the positives. Well, overwhelmingly, it's insane value for money. Only such a massive investment as Yema have done in research and development and in infrastructure, their watchmakers, etc., could pay off to this amount. Typically, we see in-house movements in this price range with only juggernaut companies like Seiko, and only companies like that come close. This is a very competitive price. I had to actually double check. I had to email Yema and say, really, is that the price? Is there something wrong on the website? Because I just could not believe the price they were selling this for. And that kind of leads in nicely to my second point, and the quality. I mean, there are no QC issues that I could find. It's extremely well executed, very, very solid. The sharpness of the edges, the transitions of the polishing, it's flawless. I mean, it's a beautifully made piece indeed, and dare I say, even underpriced. I mean, this is the cost really of most micro brands and just blows everything out of the water in terms of its actual execution. The next point is that what the micro brands don't have, that few brands have, is the story behind it. I mean, it's quite simply such a strong legacy. You feel proud to wear it. I certainly do with my Yema Superman there. But still very much under the radar. It's more of a watch enthusiast's brand. I mean, if you really know watches, you're going to know Yema. The mostly monochrome color scheme is going to work well with just about any strap, and I think the classical style of it is also very versatile. It will work with rubber, NATO, leather, canvas, as you see here, pretty much anything. Personally, my favorite feature is the balance of the dial, the uncluttered clarity. That is definitely my favorite aspect. It has coherent functionality, it's well thought out, unpretentious, and above all, very tastefully done indeed. So what are the negatives? Well, if we look at it on the profile, it is a little bit tubby. I would have loved this to be perhaps a millimeter or two thinner. I actually looked into the movement to see perhaps it's the movement that's determining the height of the watch, and it's not. The ETA equivalent, the 2824-2, is the same thickness at 4.6 millimeters. So my suspicion is that it's probably the very high water resistance rating that has made it a little bit more statuesque. It's not the end of the world. However, I do feel its tubbiness slightly undermines its versatility when it comes to sartorially matching it with your clothes, etc. It's not going to be the most cuff friendly. I do feel the Superman is a little bit more of the do-it-all style of watch. The Superman does come in multiple sizes. If you have the larger wrist, this might be too small for you. The only truly slight downfall I could find in this watch was the ghost date change, because of course this caliber usually comes equipped with a date, so when the crown is pulled out to a second position, you feel it click over. It would have been nice if they had refined this to get rid of it. But again, it doesn't really affect any of the performance of the watch. I'm very much grasping at straws here because this watch is just exceptional. The only real gripe, again, the same as the Superman, is the 19mm lug width. I understand why they did this from a design perspective. The proportions, the 39mm diameter, 20 might have been too big, 18 might have been too small. You can squeeze a 20mm nator or have it undersized like James Bond in Dr. No, but the point is, if you want the strap to be perfectly fitted to the watch, finding 19mm straps is a bit of an annoyance, but again, it's not really that bad. So in conclusion, outstanding value for money from a brand with real heritage that most brands can only dream of. It really does put most of the Swiss to shame, considering its price tag. And in many ways, it's the Superman, but in reverse. Whereas the Superman was a diver that became issued to pilots for its robustness, this is a pilot's watch designed to deal with the rigors of the field and the oceans. I really do think it's a winning formula and naturally an intelligent design. While it is not absolutely perfect, I mean, what watch is, it does punch wear above its weight. It's a cracking design. I mean, really is the Kipper's knickers. I think Yema continue to hit it out of the park, and confirms for me my own love of my Superman, and just further demonstrates why Yema is France's greatest tool watch maker. I've absolutely loved this, so I can wholeheartedly recommend this if you're looking for an affordable but prestigious, new kind of refreshing pilot watch. So I'm going to leave it there. Absolute pure class. What more can I say? Let me know your thoughts, queries, comments, opinions, all the rest of it down below. Please don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it and found it useful. Also, don't forget to check out the new Urban Gentry store for official merchandise. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one. Okay, ciao.